Rio really has the intention to be in the lowest cost quartile for lithium production in the world, much as they are for iron ore, and that's what this portfolio of assets provides to them. So there's extensive development opportunities within the portfolio for Arcadium, and they only recently came out and said that they were going to slow down development of those assets because they were constrained by balance sheet issues. Now that it's in the hands, or it's going to be in the hands of Rio with an unconstrained balance sheet, Rio is really going to be able to control the lithium market a lot more and be able to force out some of the higher cost producers. So I think that really what Rio is looking at here is a theme over the next 2 or 3 decades, not the next 2 or 3 months or years. So they really see a great opportunity to become a dominant force in the lithium market. And within their presentation, they said that they're really forecasting, CAGR demand growth of about 10% out to 2040. So that gives you an idea of where they think the lithium market's really heading long term.
Well, a very long-term view indeed. Now, it's interesting that Rio's major rival BHP seems to have a different opinion. BHP has previously said it's not interested in expanding into lithium because of slim profit margins and the oversupply issue. Do you reckon BHP has missed an opportunity here?
Well, I don't know if BHP's missed an opportunity. I just think it's about 2 different companies with 2 different strategies. BHP's clearly made a strong move into the copper markets. We like copper as well. Rio does as well. They've got significant copper assets within their portfolio. I think what the difference is here is that BHP had no real previous expertise in lithium. They had no real expertise in downstream processing. Rio has some expertise, and they see the opportunity there long term as well. I think what Rio called out in their presentation as well, which is very timely, is that a lot of these very, very large car companies and battery manufacturers want to deal with a blue chip company such as Rio Tinto, where they get certainty of long-term supply. And so I think what you might see now as well is a series of very large supply deals announced over the years ahead involving Rio and some of these larger companies, which probably weren't really comfortable dealing with the mid-tier miners because they didn't know about the certainty of how their projects were going to come into development. So I just think it's a matter of different horses for courses, and that BHP has a different view on lithium than what perhaps Rio and some other market participants do.
And where to from here? Are we going to see more takeovers of companies like this?
Yeah, look, I mean, certainly, there's other undeveloped out there which are of interest. I think Patriot up there in Quebec, it's not far from where some of Arcadium's hard rock assets were. That's obviously a very large undeveloped asset. It's probably of a size though that there's not that many parties that could really take it over. Rio was probably the party being named, and now they seem like they've played their hand. So perhaps that asset becomes stranded. Perhaps it ends up in the hands of Rio longer term. Here in Western Australia, there's very good assets held by Wildcat. They're up in the Pilbara region. They could have interest potentially from groups like Mineral Resources or Pilbara. But we do think that a lot of the second and third tier undeveloped lithium assets now will really struggle to find their way to market because quite simply they just don't have the balance sheets to develop those assets. And we think that financing, that is external financing for these projects, is going to become much more difficult now that we've seen Rio move in such a big way into this space.
And Giuliano, things are looking pretty tough for the lithium market. After all, prices have dropped more than 90% in the past 18 months. Sales of electric cars are slowing down, and major companies like Volvo are cutting back on their EV targets. When do you think we'll see a pickup?
Yeah, look, so I think with the lithium markets, we definitely saw a big supply side response. And then what surprised people was we actually saw demand drop off. So we'd all extrapolated out the initial increase in demand, and then we saw EV sales actually start to slow, particularly in markets such as North America and in Europe. In China, EV sales have continued to accelerate quite rapidly. We think for the next 2 to 3 years, the market is probably in oversupply in lithium. And then what we're going to see is, like every commodity, low commodity prices actually creates the next bull market. And what I mean by that is a low commodity price prevents new projects getting developed, and that then leads to a shortage in supply longer term, which then leads to your next bull market in the commodity. So we probably think the back end of 2026, you're starting to see a tightening in the lithium markets. And then as you approach into 2028 and 2030, you're going to see quite a good market for lithium.
Well, Giuliano Sala Tenna, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you.